The film opens in 14th century Europe, a time when fear and superstition rule every corner of the land. In a small village devastated by a deadly plague, the air is thick with despair as a crowd gathers by the river, where 3 women are dragged in chains, accused of witchcraft. The village priest stands before them, claiming the women have called upon dark forces to spread the plague. He demands they confess their sins. The first woman, trembling but defiant, insists she is innocent. The second woman, overcome with terror, breaks down and begs for mercy. But the third one remains eerily calm, silent, cold, and filled with something dark burning behind her eyes. Ignoring their pleas, the priest declares that all 3 must die. He orders their execution, and one by one, the women are hanged from the bridge as the villagers watch in silence. When it's over, the priest commands his soldiers to perform a sacred ritual from the Book of Solomon to ensure their souls are destroyed. But the soldiers, disgusted and fearful, refuse to stay and leave him alone. That night, the priest returns to the bridge, determined to finish the ritual himself. He hauls the 3 corpses from the river and opens the sacred book. He begins reciting an ancient Latin incantation. But as he pulls up the third body, the one who never spoke, something horrifying happens. Her body suddenly jolts back to life. The woman's face twists and transforms into a demonic form. With a scream that echoes across the river, she throws the priest backward into the water. Desperate, he scrambles to his feet and continues reading from the holy book, but it's too late. A violent surge of black energy bursts from the witch's body, burning the Book of Solomon to ashes and tearing the life out of the priest. His scream fades into the night as the demon claims him. The story then shifts to the burning deserts of Greece, where a brutal holy war rages between Christians and Arabs. 2 knights, 𝗵𝗻𝗿 and 𝗵𝗃, fight side by side for the church. They are fierce warriors, loyal to their faith, and their blades have ended countless lives in the name of God. But during one assault on a Greek city, everything changes. The Crusaders storm through the streets, cutting down soldiers and civilians alike. The screams of women and children fill the air. Amid the chaos, a terrified woman tries to shield her little daughter. And in a tragic moment, 𝗵𝗻𝗿's sword pierces straight through her. The sight of the dead woman and her crying child shatters 𝗵𝗻𝗿 to his core. In that instant, he realizes this is no holy war. It's mass murder disguised as faith. The blood on his hands is not righteous. It's innocent. Later that evening, unable to bear it anymore, 𝗵𝗻𝗿 confronts a cardinal and declares he will no longer fight in God's name. 𝗵𝗃, his loyal companion, stands beside him and says that if 𝗵𝗻𝗿 leaves, he leaves too. Together, the 2 knights abandon their crusade. They travel across war-torn lands until they reach Austria. On the road, they spot a small farmhouse surrounded by wandering livestock. Weary and hungry, they decide to rest there. But inside, they find the home completely silent. The owners long dead, victims of the spreading plague. Realizing the sickness has claimed yet another family, the 2 men burn the house to prevent the disease from spreading and take 2 horses from the stable. They continue toward the nearest city, but as they enter, they're met with horror. The streets are lined with corpses, the stench of death everywhere, and fear hangs over the living like a shadow. They approach a local knight named Eckhart and ask him what happened. Eckhart explains that the plague struck this city 3 years and 6 months ago, wiping out more than half the population. Hearing this, 𝗵𝗻𝗿 and 𝗵𝗃 exchange a grim look. Even battle-hardened knights fear the invisible death that creeps through the air. Eckhart, believing them to be harmless pilgrims, offers them food and 2 fresh horses. 𝗵𝗻𝗿 nods gratefully and prepares to leave, but as he adjusts his gear, his sword slips from its sheath and hits the ground. The soldier's eyes narrow. He recognizes the weapon instantly, a knight's sword marked by the Crusaders. In that moment, Eckhart realizes the truth. These aren't pilgrims. They're deserters. He quickly calls for their arrest. But the 2 knights react instantly. Swords flash from their scabbards, and a violent clash begins in the middle of the square. Hagamar fights desperately, but the sound of the struggle draws more soldiers. Within moments, they are surrounded by armed men. Outnumbered and cornered, 𝗵𝗻𝗿 and 𝗵𝗃 reluctantly drop their weapons and surrender. Soon after, a city priest named disillusioned arrives. He looks at the knights' armor and immediately recognizes them as former crusaders. Without a word, he orders the soldiers to bring them before the king. Inside the royal chamber, the king lies weak and pale, his body rotting from the plague that has consumed his kingdom. With a hoarse voice, he says, "I know who you are, Knights of the Crusade." The king tells them the plague has ravaged his city and his people. He believes it's the work of dark magic, a curse cast by a witch. He reveals that his soldiers have captured this witch, but destroying her is no ordinary task. There is only one way. She must be taken to the monastery of 𝗦𝗵𝗿𝗀𝗲, far to the north, where the monks still keep the last surviving copy of the sacred Book of Solomon, the only text powerful enough to end her evil once and for all. He orders 𝗍𝗻𝗻 and 𝗍𝗀𝗻 to escort her there safely. But 𝗍𝗻𝗻, still haunted by the bloodshed of the Crusades, refuses. He has no faith left in holy wars or divine missions. No more killing, he says. No more blood. 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 tries to reason with him, saying this task is not for war but for salvation. Yet 𝗍𝗻𝗻 stands firm. His refusal angers the king, and both knights are thrown into the dungeon. In the dark cell, 𝗍𝗻𝗻 and 𝗍𝗀𝗻 discover the witch imprisoned across from them. She's a young girl, fragile, trembling, her face covered in grime, but her eyes burn with something unsettling. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 looks at her and feels a strange sense of pity. Deep inside, he thinks that maybe, if he can protect this girl and ensure she gets a fair trial, it might help redeem his soul for the innocent lives he once took. When 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 returns to the cell, 𝗍𝗻𝗻 offers to take on the mission, but on one condition. The girl must be given a fair trial at the monastery. The priest agrees, and 𝗍𝗻𝗻 also demands that their weapons be returned so they can defend themselves along the way. 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 nods and unrolls a map, showing them the route to Samos. The monastery lies 900 miles away, across cursed lands and a forest from which no traveler has ever returned alive. Even 𝗍𝗀𝗻 raises an eyebrow. It's a journey that could easily claim all their lives. As they prepare to leave, they encounter a man being sentenced to death by stoning. A thief named 𝗍𝗶𝗻𝗄. Desperate to live, 𝗍𝗶𝗻𝗄 promises he knows the mountain paths better than anyone. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 offers him a deal. Guide them to Samos, and he'll walk free. With no better choice, 𝗍𝗶𝗻𝗄 accepts. Their small group is finally assembled. 𝗍𝗻𝗻, 𝗍𝗀𝗻, priest 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀, the thief 𝗍𝗶𝗻𝗄, and a few soldiers to guard the prisoner. When they go to retrieve the witch, she thrashes violently, scratching and kicking. 𝗍𝗶𝗻𝗄 tries to hold her down, but she strikes him across the face with unnatural strength. Startled by her sudden power, 𝗍𝗀𝗻 knocks her unconscious with the butt of his weapon, and they lock her inside a heavy iron cage mounted on a cart. The journey begins. As they travel through the desolate countryside, 𝗍𝗻𝗻 senses something watching them. When they stop to rest, he turns and sees a hooded figure in the distance. The figure steps closer, revealing himself as a young man named K. He explains he was once a soldier for the king and dreams of becoming a knight. He begs to join their journey, saying he wishes to prove his courage. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 refuses at first, but K insists, following them on horseback until they finally allow him to come along. That night, they make camp beneath the trees. The forest is silent. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 approaches the cage to feed the girl. Her voice is soft but sharp, filled with hidden venom. She tells him that 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 cannot be trusted, that once they reach the monastery, the priest will kill her and anyone who tries to protect her. Her words slip into his mind like poison. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 listens quietly. 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 pulls him aside and warns him sternly. She will speak lies. That is her greatest weapon. She'll twist our hearts, turn us against one another, and destroy us from within. 𝗍𝗻𝗻 says nothing, but the doubt has already begun to grow inside him. As everyone drifts to sleep, Eckhart sits with the priest, staring at the cage. He tells 𝗍𝗶𝗲𝗀 that the witch reminds him of his own daughter, a girl named Mila who died years ago. The memory breaks through his hardened shell for a moment, revealing the fear that lies beneath every man in their group. None of them truly know what they're carrying in that cage, or what kind of darkness waits ahead in the cursed forest. The witch begins whispering in her cage. Her voice is calm, and she calls out to Eckhart. Against his better judgment, Eckhart walks closer. The priest quickly follows, sensing danger. But before he can intervene, the witch uses her cunning to trick them both. With a swift and unexpected move, she grabs Eckhart by the head and slams him against the iron bars, knocking him unconscious. The priest rushes forward, but the witch snatches the keys from his belt and disappears into the darkness. Panic spreads instantly. 𝗍𝗻𝗻, 𝗍𝗀𝗻, and the others grab their weapons and follow her trail through the fog, chasing her to a nearby village. But when they arrive, they realize something horrifying. The entire place is dead. The village has been wiped out by the plague. Bodies lie everywhere with decay and silence everywhere. The witch's echoing laughter drifts through the ruins, mocking them as they move deeper into the ghostly streets. They split up to cover more ground, though every step feels like walking into a trap. Soon, 𝗏𝗏𝗃 regains consciousness and begins searching the area. That's when the witch plays her cruelest trick yet. She appears to 𝗏𝗏𝗃 in the form of his dead daughter, Mila, the one he mentioned by the campfire. Tears fill his eyes as he stumbles toward her, whispering her name, his mind clouded by grief and confusion. He doesn't see through the illusion. To him, this is his child brought back to life. Just then, Kay spots 𝗏𝗏𝗃's shadow moving through the mist. Thinking it's the witch taking another form, he lunges without hesitation and drives, his sword straight through 𝗏𝗏𝗃's chest. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 collapses, his eyes wide in disbelief. Realizing what he's done, Kay stumbles back in horror. The others rush over, but it's too late. 𝗏𝗏𝗃 is dead. Kay drops his sword and shouts that it was a mistake, that the witch made him see something else. He swears she was controlling 𝗏𝗏𝗃's mind. The witch is soon recaptured, her expression calm, almost pitiful. She looks straight at 𝗍𝗻 and says softly, "I only ran because I was afraid of the priest. I never meant to hurt anyone." Her words stir something inside him, a growing doubt. Maybe she's not the monster everyone believes her to be. Maybe she's just a frightened girl. They lock her back inside the cage and resume their journey. The priest warns 𝗍𝗻 yet again, his tone grave and cold. "She feeds on guilt," he says. "She knows your fears. The moment you believe her, she owns you." But 𝗍𝗻's faith in the church is fading, and his compassion for the girl is beginning to cloud his judgment. The group soon reaches a massive ravine, spanned by a narrow, ancient bridge made of rotting wood and ropes. It sways dangerously in the wind. 𝗍𝗻 tests it first, carefully crossing to the middle and motioning for the others to follow on foot. Everyone dismounts, slowly guiding the cart that carries the witch's cage. The boards creak and splinter beneath their feet. Halfway across, one of the wheels gets jammed, and the bridge starts to shake violently. Felsen and 𝗍𝗻 push with all their strength, while the others hold the ropes tight. For a tense moment, it looks like they'll all fall to their deaths. But finally, with a last heave, the cart rolls safely onto the other side. The second they make it across, the entire bridge collapses behind them, crashing into the abyss below. The group stands in silence, realizing how close they came to dying. They continue until nightfall and enter a dark, fog-filled forest that seems alive with whispers. The mist is so thick they can barely see each other. Strange shapes move in the distance, and the unsettling quiet begins to press on their minds. They decide to make camp and wait until morning. As the others rest, the witch begins speaking again, her voice echoing softly inside 𝗍𝗻's mind. She tempts him with guilt, reminding him of the woman he killed during the crusade. Her words claw at his conscience, trying to twist his sorrow into obedience. But 𝗍𝗻 resists, gripping his sword and forcing her voice out of his thoughts. Then, from deep within the fog, they hear growls, low, rumbling, and close. Before anyone can react, a pack of wolves bursts out from the shadows, eyes glowing unnaturally bright. The group fights back fiercely, swords slashing, fire blazing in the dark. For every wolf they kill, 2 more seem to appear. Their howls echo through the forest, a sound that chills the blood. They mount their horses and flee through the trees, but the wolves are faster. In the chaos, one of the beasts leaps onto 𝗏𝗏𝗃's horse and drags him down. He screams as the pack tears him apart in seconds. The others can only keep running until the howls finally fade into the distance. When they emerge from the forest at dawn, the survivors are exhausted. They've lost too many men already, and the weight of it bears down on 𝗍𝗻. He turns to the cage, his eyes burning with rage and grief. "She's behind this," he growls. "Every death, every lie." He raises his sword, ready to end it all. But the priest steps between them. 𝗍𝗶𝗃's voice is firm. "No, 𝗍𝗻. If she's guilty, the book will judge her. But if we kill her now, we become no different from the monsters we fight." 𝗍𝗻 stands there for a long moment, trembling with fury. The mission must go on, but the doubt and the darkness are growing with every step. The priest insists they are close to the monastery and that once they arrive, the truth will finally be revealed about whether the girl is truly a witch or not. After a long and exhausting journey, the group finally reaches the ancient monastery, but instead of peace, they are met with silence. The entire place is eerily still, and as they walk inside, they discover that all the monks are dead, victims of the plague that has swept across the land. The sight breaks the priest completely. His faith shatters, his hope dies, and in despair, he falls to his knees, praying to God for strength. Then they notice movement. A single monk still clings to life, barely breathing. With his final strength, he points toward an ancient book lying on the altar, the sacred Book of Solomon. The moment he takes his last breath, The priest picks up the book. Inside are rituals and incantations written to fight demonic forces. Holding it, the priest's courage returns. He now believes that with this book, they can finally end the evil once and for all. Determined, the priest takes the girl into a chamber and begins the ritual. He sprinkles her with holy water and starts reciting the ancient words. But as soon as the verses begin, the girl's expression changes. Her body trembles violently, and a dark power starts to surge from within her. Then she laughs, a chilling sound that fills the room, and confesses that she has lied to them all. She mocks them, reminding each of their weaknesses, twisting their fears against them. The priest's eyes widen as he realizes the horrifying truth. This girl isn't just a witch. She's something far worse. She is no witch, he cries. She is the devil himself. The words barely leave his mouth when the girl's body begins to distort. Her skin burns, her eyes glow red, and massive wings burst from her back. The true form of Lucifer is revealed before them. With a deafening roar, the devil breaks free from the cage and sets the monastery ablaze. Now they understand his purpose. The devil wants to destroy the last remaining Book of Solomon, the same sacred text the monks were copying before they died. It's the only weapon powerful enough to defeat him. The priest stands his ground, chanting the incantations louder, refusing to stop even as the devil screams in fury. But then, the devil raises his hand and summons the dead monks from their graves. Their lifeless bodies rise again, eyes glowing with demonic fire. They attack 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗲, Felsen, and 𝗂𝗃 with terrifying strength. The battle that follows is brutal. Steel clashes against bone, and fire fills the air. 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 and Felsen fight like true warriors, cutting down the possessed monks one by one until the last of them falls. But victory comes at a price. Felsen is gravely wounded, barely able to stand. As the devil swoops down from above, he strikes the priest from behind, killing him instantly. The sacred book falls to the ground, and the devil turns his blazing eyes toward it, intent on burning it to ashes. But just in time, 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀 grabs holy water and throws it at him. The devil screams. Using the moment, Felsen summons his last strength and charges at the devil from behind. He fights with every ounce of courage left in him. But Lucifer's flames engulf him, burning him alive. Watching his oldest friend die fills 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃 with uncontrollable rage. He charges the devil with his sword, while 𝗂𝗃 picks up the Book of Solomon and starts reciting the incantations. The power of the holy words fills the air, weakening the devil's hold. 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃 stabs him with all his might, driving his blade through the creature's chest and pinning him against the stone wall. Lucifer roars in agony, lashing out and mortally wounding 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃. But 𝗂𝗃 keeps reading, refusing to stop until the last word is spoken. Finally, the final verse echoes through the burning monastery. The devil lets out one last ear-piercing scream before his body bursts into flames and turns to ash. The evil is destroyed once and for all. 𝗍𝗲𝗀𝗀𝗀𝗃, mortally wounded, falls to the ground. With his dying breath, he tells 𝗂𝗃 to protect the Book of Solomon, warning that evil can always return. Then he closes his eyes for the last time. When the smoke clears, the girl, now freed from the devil's possession, returns to her human form, alive and unharmed. 𝗂𝗃 gently takes the Book of Solomon in his hands. Together, they leave the ruins of the monastery behind, riding their horses toward the rising sun. The curse has been lifted, but the memory of what they witnessed will haunt them forever. On IMDb, the film has an average rating of 5.4 out of 10, based on over 102,000 viewer ratings. We hope you enjoyed this movie explanation. If you did, please share it with your friends, and subscribe to our channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching.